Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Everybody living the dream?
Yes, yes. So,
Awesome. Let's see here. Who do we got in? What's up, Carrie? Let me know down in the chat that you guys are alive and well. Doug, what's up, bro?
Gary is doing well.
Howard. Howard, is that a guitar amp behind you? No. Sherry, did you get Howard worked out today?
Yes, it's working now for the identity resolution.
Okay, good. Perfect.
It's
That is,
working, but I think she's asking Chavez, you mentioned last time that we could run everyone
Rerun it.
through
Yeah.
since we've got the
yep.
information already.
Yep.
Yep. So we can do that. That way you don't lose out on any of that. What's up, Alan? Let's see here. Okay, cool. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So I kind of want to do before we get started, start adding new information and going forward into another group coaching session here. Kind of recap some of the things that we've discussed because it's easy with a bunch of information being thrown at you to be like, okay, where are we at? Where are things at in the moment? So starting off, I just want to go through in lesson one, you might recall, and you can go back and watch this on YouTube if you forgot some of this, but we were just talking about what identity resolution is, what it can do for a business. So that was the main focus of that training. So if you're somebody who's either watching the replay of this or you're on now and you're like, oh, I haven't been on any of the other trainings, lesson one, we discussed what identity resolution is and how it can help businesses. And then we kind of talked about the numbers of it. So, roughly for every 100 leads that you come through, you're going to typically see anywhere between like a 5 to 10% response rate, depending on what like your copy is, your niche, and all of this stuff. And then from there, you're sending them emails. So those people responding. So now it's a warm conversation. Then in lesson two, we talked about how to actually get demos, how to run, like we talked about ads, finding your unique proposition. We talked about just starting conversations with people to be able to segue them into this. Like even this morning I had a 7:45 a.m. tea time. I was golfing with a buddy this morning, and while he owns a business that does waterproofing in basements. So when people up here have water coming into their basements, and he's paying like $25 or so per lead for Google local services and this and that, and he's driving Google traffic. And I was like, hey, I got another lead that just came through, and I said, question, how many website visitors do you get? On average, with the traffic that we're getting, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, wow. And how many leads are you getting every week? And there was a big discrepancy. And I was like, oh, man, you should really be putting something on there to be able to capture that data that is, these leads that are coming in that you're not What do you mean? Well, I mean, we have a script. If you put it on the website, it will tell you about 20 to 30% of the people that come through who they are, the ones who didn't fill anything out. And then you just send them an email and you're going to get roughly 5 to 10% response rate. It ends up being about $6 cost per lead for a warm conversation that comes through. He's like, "Oh wow, yeah, we need to sit down at a Starbucks or something. You can show me how that works." So now he's interested in it, but it was just natural. Like, it didn't feel like I was selling, being pitchy. He's a friend. We were just golfing, and I'm just telling him, how this thing works because it does work. And so, we talked about doing that, just bringing up a natural conversation within your network, because one of the situations that I think a lot of you are in is that you are trying to find out what's going to be the thing that makes you income. And the reality is that all of us are always, every business is always pivoting. That's just the reality of it. Every business is always pivoting. And actually, before I get into this, I just want to say, so that was that was week two, was talking about the ads. Last week, which was week three, we talked about what the structure of how to close calls, how to actually get on and conduct a demo, most of it being over the phone. Then you move them into a Zoom demo. And so you might think, well, what else is there to talk about? Well, there's a few things that we still have to cover over this week and next week. One of them, and this is what I'd like to discuss today, is actually making this a viable part of your business to where it's not another shiny object. I don't want this to be a distraction for people. So I want to show how to make it actually a core function of your company. And then on would that be week 5 or week 6? I still want to go through the fulfillment of what to say when people respond, because you're going to have to coach your customers just a little bit through that. And we might even touch on that today. So that way we can craft more into the remaining 2 weeks, because I don't think it's going to take an hour to discuss how to fit this into your business without becoming just another shiny object, another thing that you chased for 6 weeks that didn't end up working out. And now you're on to the next thing, because that's just the reality of what, a lot of businesses do. So let's discuss that part first. Just out of curiosity, right now, how many of you guys I'm going to give you 3 stages of business. Stage 1 is you have no revenue coming in really for this online thing, but you're trying to make something work and you've got the pieces in play. You just feel like you need that traction. You need that momentum to get started. Number 2 would be you've got business of like a few things here and there, but nothing stable, nothing repeatable, nothing that has product market fit where you're like, I can scale this. And then 3 would be, hey, I've got a really successful business right now. We're already doing multiple 6, 7 figures, even if you're just doing 6 figures. And I'm just wanting to see if this is something that we can add in. So just drop it in the chat. So Sam's a 1.5, Alan's a 1, 3. Okay, cool. 1. And the reason why I say that is because the way you approach how you're going to add this into the function of your business is totally different for every single one of you based off if you're a 1 or a 3 or a 2 or where you're at. Because the problem with a 3, for instance, where Doug's at, is if he's got something that's working, and if he breaks his process to go focus on something else, it's very possible that the other thing might start to suffer while he's trying to build the other thing up. And so he can still make this a viable part of his business, but it's probably going to be through adding this on as an upsell or even a front end offer to be able to get more people into this. But what I see some people do is they end up saying, okay, I've got this really good thing working, but I'm just bored. So I'm going to add this other thing in also. And now they've taken their eye off of what was making them money. And then they start struggling because now they're trying to start product market fit, because it's hard to start a new business. The reality is that out of every 100 people that try to do this, maybe like 5 will actually be successful, because most people just won't have the grind and what it takes to actually make this thing work. So what does it take to actually make this work? In my opinion, it's content and branding. I was never a fan of content and branding. Never. Like in 2017, I got on the funnel hacker bandwagon. I got into thinking that if you just imitate someone's funnel and drive the same kind of traffic to it, you're going to get, the same kind of results. I thought that direct marketing, where it's just a numbers game, just crash through as many leads as you can and someone's bound to close. And you know what? That does work. Like I built an agency that way to an extent. But when I opened my first brick and mortar business, or actually it wasn't my first brick and mortar business, it would have been my third brick and mortar business, which was the game and repair store, video game store. I started launching the ads and I thought, I want to try this a little different. And any of you guys who went through my training called Local Domination, you learned how I run ads and how I do that for my local business. And it was very much about becoming like a local celebrity, like running video ads of yourself and your message and your thing, as much as possible. So that way you couldn't walk into a gas station without someone saying, oh, I recognize you from that game store. Or I recognize, people running up, can you guys fix this? That kind of stuff. And so when you do the same thing with your business, it gives you some momentum. And so one of the things that I would challenge you guys to do to fit this in and to add this into your company is to think, is this something that I feel confident enough to start a YouTube channel on and to start pushing out in front of people, in front of my peers? And if not, you got to get your brain there. Otherwise, it won't work. Because there's a lot of people who they're kind of just listening to you in the background. And then all of a sudden something pops and they're like, I should have been listening to this guy a little better. And then they go listen to your content. I'm going to give you guys an example of that. I have been talking about identity resolution on and off for the last 3 to 6 months. But last night I made a live and it, for some reason, it popped. And all of a sudden my DMs have blown up more than they have in the last 3 months on identity resolution. Because people are like, hey, I just caught that live, and people were leaving, some comments and this and that on there. They're like, but that makes a lot of sense. And for me, what I found out is that I found a unique angle. Last night it hit me. I'm like, how can I help people to see the unique angle of why they should be focusing on identity resolution rather than because AI bots, for instance, are great, but AI is moving so fast that it's taking the market with it. So like when I was able to sell hundreds of AI bots last year, it's very hard to do it this year. It feels like it's pulling teeth this year to do what was so easy for me to do last year. And because I will never try to teach somebody how to do something that's not working. A lot of people will do something until it burns out. And then like, okay, now I'm going to just switch to teaching it because it's too hard to keep doing it anymore. I can't do that. Like I can't sleep at night to do that. So I teach people how to do something like while it's working. And then when it's getting really difficult, I pause. I'm like, okay, I got to pivot. I got to get something else working good. And then once it does, I can show that to the people who are using our product. And right now, identity resolution is catching fire, not just with marketers, with business owners, construction companies, rental companies, service providers, people who are actually in the day-to-day grind of their business wanting to generate these leads. E-com blowing up. So for me, this has been a pivot tool. And that's just my transparency with you. It's been something that I can catch on to. And the thing that I like about it is Go High Level has no intentions of adding this into their platform. I was just talking with the founders last night. Like it's not something that hundreds of or thousands, they've got tens of thousands of users, will have the ability to resell next week. You know what I mean? Let me take a sip of this. So as you're trying to figure out how do I implement this into my business without getting distracted, the first step I would say is, okay, where am I at? So if I'm at a 1, I can do anything. Like if I'm at a 1 or 2, I haven't even found anything that works really. Even a 2, it's like you haven't found something repeatable. It's great you got business, but you don't have anything repeatable. Rinse and repeat. So now you can take this to the market and start running ads, conversations with people, doing cold emails. Heck, you could do cold calling with people. Like this is an offer that is even good for cold calling, because you could literally say to, let's say you're calling a chiropractor and you could say, hey, I have a question. What if I only charged you when I generate a quality lead for you? Or a lead for you at all? Let's see, is the AI bot function? No, it's going to be developed further, but we're making an announcement on that very soon that is actually going to make it, it'll continue to develop further for people, be a much better service, but it's going to keep us from being distracted. And I'll just share with you real quick. We're not taking it out of Consolidata, but we're breaking off a new product called Voice Genie. And that voice team is going to be its own software product. And everyone who's a Consolidata user will just get access to it. You won't have to pay anything, and any credits, voice credits, anything, just transfer to it. But the reason why we're doing that is because I'm trying to simplify Consolidata's messaging, because it is too confusing for people, is what I'm finding to be like. When I tried to go direct to consumer and not to marketers, I realized they don't like the Swiss Army message. So like Consolidata for the last 3 years has been a tool where we just resell to marketers. So they love the Go High Level thing of like, hey, we also do this and we also do that and we also do this. And no, guess what? We do that. But the reality is that it's harder to sell that to people because they're coming to you with a focus. And so for us, focusing on data, analytics, and metrics and the identity resolution, it all fits in so well together that it allows us to even still exist within a Go High Level ecosystem, a HubSpot ecosystem. And part of that is it was a big $120,000 mistake on my end. And I'll just pause our challenge just for a minute to just explain that to you guys real quick. When I say $120,000 mistake, last year after Go High Level's event, we saw almost a 20% drop in our user base within a week because they had released all these new features. And I'll tell you, that is hard to stomach. And you're kind of scrambling, thinking, how do we recover from this, in the sense of how do we keep growing? We've been growing month over month by 20 to 30%. And now we just took an overall on everything in a single week. So you could almost say a panic mode set in. We sat down as a team and we decided we can't exist within their ecosystem. We just can't do it. And so that's when we decided to build out our CRM and to start going forth and going at that. Thought it was a great idea. Spent a lot of money in development on that between November and March. Bringing that to market, though, we've realized that nobody is coming to us because they want any of those tools. Everybody who still signs up is for data and analytics, and we've actually started growing back in the right direction since we've been focusing on data and analytics. And it just kind of goes to show that you have to two things. For a few lessons I've learned is, in the past, my gut served me very, very well and got me where we're at. And that's still good. Like you should still use your gut. But when you get to a certain point where your business is getting much bigger than you need to start putting in a few more checks and balances before you go all in on something, to take on something like a massive project where you're like, so it doesn't mean we're getting rid of like our CRM features and all that. Like, we're going to keep that there and we're going to keep going with those things. But our messaging, our website, our focus is data and analytics. And then we'll still be able to provide other stuff for people. But our churn even drops when we do that. For instance, if somebody signs up because they want to check out our voice bots and they're just testing them against Assistable or Vappy, it's like, we're just a commodity. They're just coming in to see if this is going to work compared to something else. There is really nothing else, like our dashboards and our identity resolution that integrates, for instance, with some of the platforms we have so well. There's stuff like DataBox and there's data dashboard companies out there, but a lot of them are pretty darn confusing to use, and they have a much more expensive pricing model where it's like you're paying $12 to $13 per dashboard. So we've got a pretty unique product if you focus on our identity resolution with the visitor tracking, the GMB rank tracking, the dashboards like that, and it fits very cohesively together. One thing that we are adding that you'll see over the next 2 to 3 months is we just started developing a system, a partnership where we'll be doing mailers inside of Consolidata for the identity resolution. So like you'll be able to design a postcard, and it's gonna be real comparable to like Mailbox Power's 50-cent 40% postcard, like something like that. But we'll be adding in those mailers. And I would say this for anyone who's bummed, like, oh, we're still going to provide the voice bot stuff. That team, it's the same team that exists and they're employed and they're not getting fired. We're just breaking that into its own product. So that way the messaging is much more clear. Like if somebody's coming to our products for voice and text, they can go over to Voice Genie. If somebody needs data and analytics, they can come to Consolidata. So it's just going to be two different things, that way. Yeah, we're not going to have all the other gifts. It's right now, it's just going to be postcards, just going to be mailers that you can design a mailer or postcards. That way, as the identity resolution kicks in, they can do that and it'll just come out of your credits that you have. So that'll be a nice thing. But kind of pressing play here, showing how this goes for the coaching. One of the benefits of being a part of this community, being in our on our calls, is that since we have a much bigger picture as to what's going in the market than what you might, just because of dealing with tons of users and people and talking to people, we can kind of steer you in the right direction early. Like you don't have to, if you want, you can go chase the AI bot thing, but I'll give you an interesting example. One of my friends, really good friends, Andrew, I don't know if he's on here. No, he's not on right now. He got 15 demos that actually showed up for AI bots. Now, I will tell you this, Andrew is an incredible salesperson. He is an incredible copywriter. He has written 7-figure webinars. The guy is incredible at Facebook ads. Like, he got his cost per demo using my video ads, the same ones that you guys got in the AI bot class, lower than I ever did. So he's really good at sales and marketing. He didn't close a single deal out of the 15, and it wasn't because they weren't interested. It was just because it's a commodity, the pricing, this and that. I can do this over here now for only a couple $100 a month, or for $100 a month. And oh, these guys do this. There's just too many options out there now. AI is just kind of moving fast. So that's why I like data, because the other thing is not, data is kind of like art. So a voice bot, they're all getting kind of good. So like Assistable is pretty good. Vappy is pretty good. Go High Level, pretty good. It's like cars almost. Can I really say that a Toyota is any better than a Honda? You know, people probably have their preferences, but and even Kia, they've become a big player. Like cars, people, as markets really mature, they all kind of get good, and quality starts meeting expectations. But data is like art, because there are identity resolution companies out there like AdLabs. They're not as good. We've tested it against them. In fact, is Casey on this call? I don't know if Casey's on this call. Casey even has been split testing. He's one of our users, and he is now like chiming in on post unsolicited by me, because he's like, you guys are getting like 3 leads to every 1 lead that other people get, and the data is better quality. So it's not only are we actually resolving more identities. So if you hook it up and you're not getting identities resolved, let us know like right away, because it's probably something is not either set up right on your end, or something didn't fire right in our API. Like within Howard's, we had to fix something on our end. He set it up right. It was just the way that it was through our API. So make sure that you let us know, because when it's working and it's all firing well, you'll get more data than you will on any other platform. Let's see here. Let me look through these questions. The postcard edition works perfectly for our members getting data from the US already. Yeah, and also you'll be able to send it to people, even people who were not resolved identities. So you'll be able to use that postcard service for your own leads, or let's say that you scraped a list and you want to do the postcard, you can do that. Has anyone tested it against Damien Zamora's new offering? Just curious. You know what? I don't know who that is, but I would love for someone to do it and then let me know. And now I got to go look up who that is, because does he own a software or just a program? Software. Okay. Yeah, I love going head to head with people, because if we come up subpar to them, then we got to get better. If we're better, then we can brag about it. So, that's how I look at that. How soon should we expect resolved identity? So if like you start getting, say, 50 leads and you haven't gotten any identities resolved in the US, there's probably an issue. Like, let us know right away. But the other thing you can do is we're creating a little button on that's going to be, it's a verification button. So that way, when you add the script, you can hit verify and it will test your page to make sure the script is installed properly. So that way we can test right then and there to make sure that it's working and that it's easy for you guys to use. So do you guys know who Dan Nicholson is? Any of you? No. Okay. So I met Dan Nicholson and this is a part of our coaching today, because I'm going to at some point be inviting you guys onto a training where he's going to teach this method and further. But it's pretty incredible talking to a guy who's like much smarter than you. I love it, like having unlimited access to somebody who is more intelligent. No, he's not a SaaS guy. He's actually a CPA guy. He owns Nth Degree CPAs. I don't know if you guys have heard of Nth Degree, which is just NTH Degree CPAs. Incredible tax planner. Like if you ever need somebody who can like not just, because most tax planners literally just like throw your stuff in a software and the software tells you what you should do. Like they have that, but they also have things in addition to that, and they actually execute on those things very, very well. So he's very, very good. But one of the things that he teaches is something called the barbell method. And the barbell method is that If you were to think about, you generating wealth and in your business like a barbell, on one side of the weight, you have like your high risk, high reward business. So for instance, if you're starting any sort of business right now in the agency space, lead space, AI bot space, any of that, that is a high risk, high reward business. But what a lot of people do is they play in the middle of the barbell. They never go from one to the other. And on the other side, it is you have to have things that are stable income that pay your bills now. And if you have both of those in place, then you can grow a business without being stressed out all the time. You could without being freaked out all the time on everything. Because even though it is true when your back's against the wall, you do some incredible things and you can make some good money. Not everyone's that way. You think like, for instance, in golf, Tiger Woods played incredible when the pressure was on him. But look at Rory McIlroy when the pressure was on him and he missed a 3-foot putt and almost lost the Masters. It's like you not everyone plays under pressure that well, and probably most people don't. So if you're starting a high risk business like this, it makes you think, what else can you have on the side that can not distract you, but can continue to pay you stable income? And so if you're a 3 in, like, for instance, Doug's a 3, keeping that over there and protecting it, because eventually your risky business might end up getting shifted to the other side of the barbell. Like once it becomes stable, predictable, repeatable, you can shift it to the other side and say, okay, this is stable, and now I'm investing some time and energy into this thing that's a little bit more risk adverse. That's how you can fit this into your business, without taking your eye off of what you currently have. For instance, Howard, can I use you as an example? He's got a doggy daycare. He's got overhead. I assume you've got staff. He's got people that are there reliant on him. He can't take his eye off of that. That has to be something that's growing, because that could really, really quickly crumble. So how can he use that and still be able to do something like this? Well, first step is putting it on his own website. So that way he's using it for himself. Then taking that, using that as a case study to be able to start promoting it to others. Hey, I want to show you guys how I was able to increase our doggy daycare's business by blah, 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 blah. And I would almost even venture to say that even though niching down can cost you more money, that it would be interesting to call once you get some results, to call other doggy daycares, just cold calling them, saying, hey, this is Howard from whatever the name of your doggy daycare is. Is the owner there? And they're going to be like, another doggy daycare, why are they calling me? I just have a question for them. And then you could get on and say, hey, my name's Howard.
Yeah, they're 90 in the system. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yep. And so this would be like how once you get your leads rolling and working for you and you're starting to generate results and they're actually turning into like people who are coming in as customers, then you could say to the person, hey, I got a question. You don't know me from Adam, but I do own this doggy daycare business in Miami, Florida, or wherever you're at in Florida. And we've developed this software that it's working really good. It's actually generated for us like 13 new customers who are actually coming in and bringing their dogs in. And those 13 new customers, it only cost me like $200 to generate that business, and now they're coming in regularly. And I was just thinking, I bet other doggy daycares would love to have this, because our overhead is so high and marketing is so expensive that this is the lowest cost marketing thing I've ever done. I just wanted to see if this is something that you'd be interested in doing, and having like this curious tone in your voice almost. I guarantee you make enough calls like that, you're going to get people who are interested in signing up and doing this. But that's how you can make it work in your business, is by trying to make it work with what you're currently doing rather than making it its own thing. It's hard for people to break off and now focus on 2 different businesses, but if you can find a way to make it a part of the thing you're already doing, then it's like you're creating this compound effort. I'll give you another example of this. I have that AI SaaS training where people learn how to build software with AI. I built a software with AI and I recorded it. And then I sold a bunch of users onto that software. And then I sold the software company itself to another software company. And then I sold the training of me recording myself building that software to people on how I built the software. So like I took about 9 hours of my life to build something, and it ended up generating over 6 figures of revenue because I just compounded everything I was already doing, and I just extracted as much as I could from that thing that I was doing, and it didn't distract me. But so for instance, when I'm making new UX for Consolidator, I record it so that way I can add that to trainings, and I can sell this, and I can show people how to do this stuff. But it's the same exact thing with this. You can create this offer and make it do this in a way where people are not, it's not distracting you. Now, here's another thing that you could do if you wanted, throwing this out there. We are working on building our own external APIs. So that way, like, let's say you wanted to build your own AI software platform that does identity resolution. You could build the interface, the wrapper, without having to actually have the technology that does the identity resolution. You would just call our API the same way we do, and then we would send the data back to your software the same way you do. But now here's what that would do for you. Even though you can also just white label Consolidator, which right now that's the easiest option. Here's what that would also do for you now, though, is now you're building a resellable asset. So if you've got right now, let's just say you grow your business to $10,000 a month in reoccurring revenue of identity resolution users inside of Consolidator, and you wanted to resell it. That business is probably worth, if you go to resell it, maybe like $350,000 to $400,000. You know, if you maintain that for 2 years, you know how much that's, if you did that same amount of revenue, but you do it in your own platform and you're calling our APIs, what it's now worth? It's over $1 million, over $1 million to $1.5 million in valuation, because that you own the main source code for the platform. You're just calling an existing API, which tons of companies do that. Jasper just calls the API for OpenAI. A lot of companies are just wrapping other companies' APIs. But it's funny how just by kind of strategically planning the way that you want to do this, you can go from, yeah, that's what our my AI, my SaaS program was all about. I could send you a Stripe link for it if you want. But it teaches you how to build software using AI, using, yeah, exactly, Lovable and Supabase. It's really easy to do. But the point is now you've taken something that you've been the same amount of effort, but now you're doing it and you're making a lot more money off of it because you're using your own platform and just using our API. Just something to think about. I wouldn't wait and be like, oh, I'm going to stop selling this until then, because you can migrate stuff over. Like, you could just start on ours, get the revenue going because it's in your Stripe account. See, the problem with Go High Levels is that if you're using their stuff, they're managing the subscriptions for you. And the issue with that is that it's all just housed inside of Go High Levels. So you can never really migrate it. But with us, you're using your own Stripe accounts or your own merchant accounts to be able, however you accept your payments, to do that. They're just in here. So at some point, you could just switch people and migrate them over into your new platform and say, hey, we're moving over here. And now that revenue looks like, to an investor or someone buying it, that it's coming from over there. So keep that in mind, that that's something that you guys should be thinking about doing, is not just I don't want to say wasting your time, but not just spending your time building my asset, but build your asset too. Because if you get a bunch of users on it, my valuation's going up. Yours is too, but not as much as mine. But even if you get people on your platform, it doesn't change my evaluation because you're still using my API, and the revenue coming from you as a user is exactly the same. Does that make sense? Like, for you guys, you'll just make way more money when you go to resell the company if at some point you wrap it. And we don't even have that API live and available just yet for you guys to use, but I'm just trying to get your wheels turning and thinking about how do you turn this into something that's not just, okay, I'm going to make a little cash right now using this tool Ross has, and then eventually, I don't foresee identity resolution, and I could be wrong, but I don't foresee identity resolution becoming something that gets oversaturated in the market in the same way AI bots have. It might really click on and pick up. Hopefully, for my sake, I hope it does. But I don't think it's going to be the same way as, data keeps growing. Data is where the money's at. I would even say, even though I'm not a big fan of his voice in ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson's got a lot of genius stuff. If you remember .com Secrets, he spent that whole book talking about growing a list and the value of a list, because in his book, if he could teach you that having a list was valuable, then he could say, here's how you grow the list. In order for you to have a big business, you have to have a list. And if you want to have this list, you need to have a funnel to be able to grow the list, to collect the emails and so forth. Well, this is just another way to do that. It's saying, hey, having a list is really valuable. So you could use his same proposition. But if you want to grow a list, a quicker, better way to grow. In the past, if you wanted to grow a list, you had to send people to a funnel and you had to spend all this money on it. And even though you should still do that, the problem is the funnel only collects 2 to 5% of those leads. But if you just put this script in your funnel or in your website, you go from only getting 2 to 5% of your leads to 20, 30% of the leads overnight. What will that do for your business? That's just such an easy pitch for people to go. See the importance of free so you can profit off teaching how. Yeah. And what's beautiful is we can actually teach people how to do things because they have to use our software to execute on it properly. Like in the past, if you were just selling education, you're teaching the what and the why because you're trying to sell the how. We can teach them the what, the why, and the how, and then just sell them the tool to actually go do the how, which is beautiful. It takes us out of that spammy marketer thing. So let's open up. Let's just do some questions here. Let's kind of roundtable it if anybody's got any thoughts, because I've spewed out a lot of information here.
Yeah, I got a question. So, and obviously, starting with AI bots, from what you said, is not going to be the best foot in the door. Data is going to be the way to go about it. But then, I understand mailers and cold email is going to be the way to connect with these leads. But have you ever set up AI bots to cold call them as well, or offer that as a combined service? Is that legal to do that?
It's illegal to call people. It gets really shady when you start texting or calling numbers that have not opted in. I'm not even willing to go there anymore because it's just the TCPA compliance is it's getting so tough. Like, I don't want to get sued. And I feel like that does kind of start becoming creepy. Even like trying to sell that to a company, don't you feel like they would be like, isn't that creepy? Like, I feel like it builds a new objection because you know what I mean? So here's one thing that I was thinking about, and I was going to talk to Chavez about it because it's super possible to do this. If you were to send the emails out through Go High Level, you could build an AI bot that replies to their replies through email. So you could have like an AI email bot. So that way, if they're like, yeah, I would be interested in this, the email would come back. My fear is that those hot leads could get screwed up. It's actually almost better in my opinion. So one of the things, and I'm open to thoughts, if you guys have any ideas on this, I just started kind of scraping my brain on this week because it's starting to become something that is, I don't want to call it an issue, but more of a thing where it's like, okay, here's a new problem for me to solve. Is when you email people, sometimes you get automated replies from them, like out of the office till this time, or you know what I mean? You get, it just depends on how they come through. And those emails can clutter up an inbox for people. Like, it can frustrate people to be getting a ton of that stuff. It's not a big issue because it's not, but like if you got a real high volume site where people are spending, tens of thousands of dollars a day, like e-commerce or something on their ads, it can start cluttering it up. So I've been kind of working on this idea. There's a company, if you look them up, called MailReef, and we're going to potentially build an integration with them. And the idea with it would be you would send the initial email almost from like a cold email style inbox, but when they reply, forwarding that reply, if it's a qualified email, to whoever the actual recipient of that email would be in the form of like a CC or something like that. I have to figure out how that would work because I would like it to where like your customers only ever see warm emails coming through. Like people
Like
saying,
sending over verified calls.
yeah, to where it'd be, for instance, let's say you're a used car dealer and you're like, hey, would you like me to send you a list of our top 10,000 or our top 10 cars under $10,000 or something like that? I would almost say that the success we're finding is that the first email has to be something that demands a response rather than just like giving them information.
I mean,
That's what.
at scale, would you suggest like mailers since they have to like physically pick them up and see them?
Well,
Um,
the mailers are great regardless because it's another form of retargeting, it's another form of branding, it's getting out there in front of people. So it's never gonna hurt to send the mailers. That's kind of how I view retargeting ads too, like setting up a $5 a day. Sorry, I'm I got a low battery on my laptop, so it's plugging it in.
but man,
But
I'm just trying to piece together a nice offer in the beginning. I was gonna go for AI bots. I love the hybrid version here. I think that makes us distinct and different compared to piecing together, something with Make and Vappy. So I think that is the edge there. So I'm still
that
gonna
used
try
to
to
be.
push it, but
2 weeks after we announced it, Vappy announced that they're doing the same thing. So like
oh
Vappy
no
already,
shit.
yeah, Vappy already does it also. It's like
Okay.
exactly what I mean though about the AI bot space. It's like if someone has it and it looks cool, other people are going to build it right away. Like honestly, it's funny. Like I see, for instance, Bryce from Closebot, cool dudes, nice people. We've had our arguments, but we get along. Like I want to see them do well, but I'm thinking to myself, boy, I honestly don't because they're growing, they're doing well. It's impressive because all they do is text bots, and I think, man, the market is moving towards text and voice, so it is interesting. You know, it's hard to say. It's like that's a tough space to be in. Glad that they're all in on it. Uh, I don't have to be and don't really want to be. I'd rather be doing something and swimming in the blue ocean, so to speak.
I'm
Um,
with you, brother. I'm with you all day. And I love the data idea. But I want to ask you, like, would you package this together with both email and mailers up front, as a package offer, like
yep, I
combined?
would do it. Yeah, because they're not going to know what to do with it, and they're
Yeah.
not going to get results if you don't. So like what I would do is I would sell it as you could depending on what you want to do. For most people, I'd say a setup fee where hey, we come in, we set up our system, we get you we set up your email campaign for you, everything's good to go, and then you just pay usage. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it would be a licensing fee. Like, hey, in order to get to do this, you could completely like disguise software cost and say it's not a software cost, but you could say, hey, this data, in order for us to be able to let you use it, we have to license the data to you, so that way you actually have access to it. The licensing fee to be able to get access to it is an initial buy-in where you pay this, and then it's 12 cents per lead. So it could be like the licensing fee is $2,500 for the year. I don't care if you want to pay that up front or if you want to pay that quarterly. Totally up to you. Doesn't matter to me. So it's a licensing fee plus usage. So you could really structure that however you want.
Do you think I should
People,
stay at the 12 or you think I should go for 50 cents if I'm
oh,
doing the upfront fee?
don't say at 12. I'm sorry. I keep saying that because that's your cost. If you do it
Yeah,
at
right,
12,
right.
you'll make nothing on it.
I was just thinking maybe because of the upfront fee, give him like flat cost of what I can, low as possible, but even 50 cents is super low.
Yeah, now here's one thing just so you guys know, and I did this for your benefit and for mine. If you go to Consolidated's website, we've pulled the pricing off of our website.
Sweet.
And that is because if for some reason someone, one of your customers were to get a hint of what you're using and they go to our website, I don't want them to see 12 cents a lead. The only way people can get access to our pricing now is by going through a demo of our platform. So if they do that, but the reality is that we'll probably find out that they're already doing something because that's part of our discovery questions anyways when they do that. Because our goal, we're not trying to take people's customers.
So you're not thinking along the lines of a monthly uh membership fee or like the 197
So, yeah,
monthly recurring
that's what
fee?
I do. That's what I do, but I was just giving you guys other options, saying like if you don't, there is a weird psychological truth, and I don't remember what book I read this in. Maybe you guys will remember this, but I've found this too. For some reason, people prefer a one-time payment like here and there as opposed to a monthly subscription. So it's like it's actually easier for me to sell somebody on something annual than it is for me to sell them monthly if I'm on a call. Only if I'm on a call, and then so I would always pitch someone on the annual, and then if they want to go with the monthly because of like they just don't have it, then they can do that. Because people just don't like things dinging out of their account constantly. So I don't care how you position it. I was just giving you a couple ideas like, hey, you could do the subscription. You could also do the licensing fee, which might even sound a little bit fancier, a little bit more elevated, more sophisticated, might make them feel like they have access to something that other people don't, you know? So very possible you could do something like that.
If you're charging for per lead, how do we track that?
So they're paying up front, like almost like OpenAI or Twilio. So they're paying up front. Like, let's say they're like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and top up my account with $500. They put that $500 on the account. Then whatever you're charging them. So like, for instance, for you guys, it's 60 credits. So every time a lead comes through, 60 credits gets removed from your account as an agency. That's how we do it. And we're charging you 12 cents for 60 credits. So you might charge them 50 cents for 60 credits. So if you charge them $500, you would just give them the equivalent of credits in their account to 50 cents instead of the 12 cents. That way you're making money off the top of it. Does that make sense?
Yes, and then how are you providing them the person's information and the data once the lead comes in?
Well, you guys have there's two ways to do it. One would be you have white labeled if you have a white labeled account for Consolidata, then if you have a white label account for Consolidated, you could just brand it your own stuff and let them log into your white labeled account and just make sure the only permissions that they have on is the visitor tracking. And you could even set up the pipeline for them. So that way, as the identities are being resolved, it's pushing them into the pipeline and the contacts so they can see all that and they can go in and even watch the videos of what people were doing. And if you set up a SendGrid account for them, you could even set up the email campaign right within inside your Consolidated account. And that's why I said, like, we're keeping the CRM, we're keeping those things because it goes very well with identity resolution for this particular reason. But if you are reselling Go High Level already, and that's what your business has been based around, you could just send the leads right into Go High Level. No reason why you couldn't do that and put
Okay, I'm not sure mine are doing that, so I need to check why not.
Yeah.
Why they're not
Yeah,
pulling into the Go High Level account.
the way you do it is you hit edit on the pop-up, like when you built the website or put the website into visitor tracking, and it'll just ask you from a drop-down what location, Go High Level account, which location you want to put it in, and then you can even put a tag on it. Let's see here. Where is this course loaded? I don't see it in my learning area. The Consolidated community. How about build your own? Thanks. I bought it when it released both some months ago. It should be in there. If you send Sherry your name inside of Kantana, which is use Kantana, you would be able to see it inside of there. Usekantana.com. I'll put it in here.
So I don't know if this is just me being lazy. I would love to have a calculator on the site. So when you're loading credits, you could put in how much you're charging the client per lead, and then that just pulls straight into the account if that's making sense. Instead of working out, okay, well, if it was 60 credits that we get and I'm charging this much, how many credits should I be giving them and transferring over and just to keep it accurate?
Yeah, so you could do that. We can do that. The reason it hasn't been a priority is because, like, let's just say you were charging 50 cents a lead, and they put $5 or 500, they pay you $500. I just look at that and say, okay, that's 1,000 leads. So 1,000 leads is going to be 60,000 credits. And for 60,000 credits, it's 12 cents a lead. That divided by that. So it's fairly, I mean, we could do that. We can make that. To me, it just seems easy because like, okay, it's $120.
Yeah.
I'm making, we can work something out like that. To be honest with you, keeping the identity resolution and the platform working has been a much higher priority for us than the calculator part. But that's a good margin. That's a good markup, and that still puts you well below what other people charge. Like, go to Clearbit. Look at some of these companies like, is it Clearbit? I think it's Clearbit. Look at some of these companies that do that and look at what they charge, and you're $25,000 a year, like big buy-ins, and you're giving them high quality data without having to do it's really good. Let's see here.
Yes.
So speaking of courses, do we AI agency group get access to the $97 promo? Your promo? That's a totally different thing. So it is not a part of this. Some of the information might be redundant, Carrie. It's a little bit more. This is a very casual style group coaching session where we're talking, we're chit-chatting, it's easy going. Like that's what this is. On Tuesday, it's like there's slides, a little bit more structured like a course, because I'm going to be recording it live in front of everyone. Questions won't be until the end. So some of it is going to probably be very redundant information. You could decide for yourself whether the $97 is worth, being on that or not. It is a different thing because we're actually still going to do a group coaching session next week on Thursday. So it's not like it's replacing that call. Okay. Any other questions before we call it a day? Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys.
What have you found the accuracies on the resolved leads? Because I've just been looking through some of them that are coming through my website, and they're coming in from different countries and stuff. And I'm like,
Different countries. What do you mean?
well, sorry, not different countries, different states. Like,
Oh,
I know we're marketing that certain websites only to our region, and yet it's still being picked up by people in New Jersey and Houston and all over the country. I don't know.
how many of those people would you say, out of how many leads would you say that's what you got? Because we
I
see
don't
like
know.
an
I have to
85
double
to
check.
90% accuracy rate. Now, the only thing that can sometimes happen, and this is why it's only 85 to 90% and not 100%, is that, let me see, I'm trying to figure out can you private message me your email? I'll log in and look. I was going to say, is that sometimes it could be an address that they used to have. And so that's why we say it's not 100%. But even if it's an address they used to have, if their name's on it, it's possible it'll get forwarded. Not always. Oh, you sent it to me on Facebook.
Yeah,
Now I have to try to not be lazy and I have to go to Facebook.
I can send it to you as
No,
well.
I got it. I got it. I got it. I was just being lazy. What's the sub account called? Is it the FTL or?
Um, you're probably better off going into the doggy daycare, Houndstown Doggy Daycare FTL.
Okay.
The other one's the franchise's website, franchisor.
Dokie. Identity is resolved only. now with the eyes on you.
And I don't mind if you want to share the screen. So I don't know if it's helps anyone or not.
Well, what I'm looking for is why why on your site it's not displaying the address.
Yeah, that was my other question. Where do I see the person's
So
address?
how do you know that they weren't in the right?
Well, I'm just looking at one here. It says City, Bellevue, State, NE. I'm assuming NE is not the same as Florida.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see. That's Lisa Burton.
Yeah.
Okay. The contacts that you have. Oh, okay, I see. So these contacts, it's only in there. So let's just take a look. Well, one of them, it duplicated the person. Let me just take a look here. How are you getting phone numbers? I didn't think we released that.
I'm on a special account. I don't get the address. I just get the phone numbers.
Give me 1 second, okay? Can I call one of them just to see if this is accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just see here. 439-4483. What's the name of your business?
It's Houndstown Doggy Daycare.
Okay.
Your call has been forwarded to. Your call has been forwarded.
Okay. Well, she forwarded it to voicemail. So I see one here from Pompeo Beach, Florida. Technically, you've only had 3 leads come in.
That have been resolved.
That have been resolved. Yep. So that event, yeah, we have to send the other ones through. And out of that, we don't know what the other one. Let me just call the other one too.
Is there a way that you can just click through ones that are resolved, or do you have to go back out each time and then go back down to find the resolved leads?
Yeah, I'm looking at
Or a
this
filter?
person. You know what's funny is that, do you have this site? Oh, Cougar Range. Good. Do you happen to have this script on multiple websites?
No, it's only on the one website.
So let me show you something that's kind of funny. I have to talk to my dev team on this. So the way
I'm
that
seeing every site that all those people have been going to.
so
A history of
it's
their,
actually
yeah.
a little creepy. It wasn't it's something that's still being we're still working on. But you know, the way cookie matching works as opposed to the way it was working before is you actually put a cookie in their computer. So that way you can see can you guys see my screen? Oh no, Sherry's
No.
got to give me access. Sherry, give me access, por favor.
Yeah, I was
Sure.
looking at, I'm like, this doesn't look, well, it looks interesting.
It's creepy though. I don't know that I want to keep that there for everyone to see. I'm glad that we're reviewing this together because as you can see, this person came through with their phone number and you can see all the crap that they looked at afterwards, like laptops, and this person's in market
No,
for a laptop.
that goes before though, because they only came, I mean, that's July 12th.
Yeah, but the way cookie matching works is that we picked up on that you send a data into a data pool where this person has already existed, and it has the sites that they were at previously. Does that make sense? So it's like we're taking their cookie info there and we're sending it into a data pool, and then that's sending us a ton of data back, and then we're displaying it. So it's like
But
we're not
it's
seeing when they hit your website, we're seeing every website they hit since that person became a contact to
yeah,
our
because
data.
just this one person, I've got her site visits from July 3rd, and I never had this on the website. I only put it in after July 3rd. So I'm seeing all her web traffic or whatever she's doing.
Yeah, I have to talk to the team about that because that's probably a little invasive.
Okay. And then
Cookie dokes.
is okay. I'll have lots more questions. I'll put them in the
Sounds
messenger.
good. I had to bury my kids in the bedroom because I didn't want them coming out during my training, but I'm working from home today. So I'm gonna let them come out. Thanks for being on, guys. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
See you guys.